Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here at NAB 2022, and this is Bryce Button from AJA. Hello, Bryce.
So good to see you again, Randy.
Good to see you. You guys had a few different announcements before the show.
Yes.
Including this lovely thing.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Helo Plus and what it does?
So this is the new AJA Helo Plus. It's got the ability to basically do two separate streams. So we have SDI and HDMI inputs and outputs, and you can run them concurrently because we have two separate encoders. So if we're doing straight one camera, second camera, send it off to different CDNs, package them differently, all very simple in the device. As you'll see on the front of the device, you have record, stream. So for your operators, the day of, that can be just simply clicked and off you go. You've got the ability to record these H.264 files that can be at different compression settings to your stream, and that can go to an SD card, a USB stick, or NAS even off the LAN port on the back. But because we have two sources, we're actually giving you some great layout tools as well. So you can go through the design phase if you like, and essentially set up elements that can be utilized for almost a virtual switch kind of scenario. So you can bring in the two video sources, you can scale them as you want to, put them against a color map background, and you can import up to 99 Photoshop PNG type files. We've got alpha channels to do lower thirds, all that type of thing. And then during the live process itself, you go into something that's called a shot box, where you simply have numbered up to 10 different layouts and name them so you don't forget what they are, and simply click on them as you go. And of course, that's what you need for live, because people run short, long, you need to deal with the variances of actually dealing with a live event. So even better is you can now deliver this all with SRT. So your video is encrypted, you're safe, you're doing something for a bigger studio or whatever, or you're moving materials from onset to post teams or remote post teams who are trying to watch this elsewhere. That makes it already nice and simple. It's web browser driven if you're remote. So again, you connect to the LAN and off you go. And then all these items can be set as presets. So if you're doing sort of more of a regular show, you're doing a talk show like we're doing, and you're going to do that week to week, then those things can be saved as presets. You've got your favorite CDNs, maybe they're private, maybe they're social media platforms, everything, Facebook Live, Twitch, all of it. So really great device. To learn more, you're going to want to go to aj.com and take a look at our What's New page. And we actually have a great little video there that folks can watch and get a sense of all the
different things you can do with it.
Yeah.
Is it available now, and is it affordable for the little guys as well as the big companies?
Yeah, so affordability, absolutely. So it's a $16.99 US MSRP, which means per channel it's only $850. And then in terms of physical shipping, we're taking orders right now, and we will be shipping in June. So that's this great little box here. And then some of the other fronts, for those who are working with HDR, for instance, with the FS HDR, that's our key creative frame synchronizer conversion box. But the FS4 is sort of a companion box, which we had out for longer. It's a 4-channel frame sync. What we've done there is done a lot of work to make sure that you can take the creative intent that was created during the FS HDR originally, all your color tweaking, all the types of HDR, LUT information you need going, and then you can have an FS4 in the chain, which is a somewhat cheaper device, and the VPID will continue to carry on. So VPID is where you're taking metadata along with the video signal, and all those color decisions can stay in place, that you might have to do for real-time work, especially audio insertions, different voiceovers, all that type of stuff. So you can do all that embedding, disembedding, straightforward raster size changes and frame rates.
Is that the product that you work with ColorFront on?
Correct. So FS HDR is the one we worked with on ColorFront, and now we're preserving that work, moving over to sort of the companion FS4 frame synchronizer, because a lot of events that we've had go down recently need to have an HDR thing going on in real time. even for feature work on set, for instance, you're trying to embed looks and that type of thing, because you can import LUTs as well into the FSHDR, and then maybe you've added an HDR10 setup for the HDR work, and you can pass that down the chain of the FS4. So a lot of great stuff there. And then we also have good news for folks that have been looking at the Bridge NDI. So Bridge NDI 3G, as you recall, we brought to market in the last year. It's a high density NDI to SDI conversion box. And the key thing there is it's up to 16 channels. And we've also been able to now add support for NDI 5.0. So the great thing is, for your current pipelines, you might find it's still more advantageous to stay with NDI 4, just depending on the kit you have going. You can boot into either 4 or 5, which is really very helpful.
And how difficult is it to do, to switch back and forth?
Literally choose to go back to the version 4 environment. It's about a 30-second swap as the software boots back up. So really not a big deal. And I think for those of you that have started to use NDI in your pipelines to move materials around, you'll also be happy to hear that we've added really strong time code controls, which those of us in post adore.
Yes.
Right? Actually being able to track this stuff and have proper timings. So you can insert time code, whether it's VITC, LTC, however you need to embed it. And you can set it. So if you've got a device in the chain that's just making up random times, you can always enter your own time codes, or you can utilize time of day, UTC, whatever's going to work best for your pipeline. And then I think probably the last item is going to be a big thing for those of you that are having to manage within the post pipelines, VFX pipelines, or the color work pipelines. This problem of media management continues to grow. We're all generating tons of material. All over NAB, you will see cloud strategy after cloud strategy. We've all been working remote for a while, not as centralized as we used to be. And so the news there is our Discover software, we have now updated to version 2.0. And a reminder that that software basically is a search and global index creator. And to re-summarize the key problems we're trying to address, you might have media you're working with at home sitting on a USB SSD. Well, that's one place you might have materials. You may be working also collaboratively with a facility where there's SANs going on, that type of thing. Or you may now be dealing with all this material sitting in the cloud. So trying to understand where materials are as you hand off portions of projects to each other or different stages, it's a bit of a nightmare if you aren't really tracking where that is, what's the latest, where did someone render a file. And for those of you dealing with the sort of pipeline cost structures, understanding what this is even costing you. So that Discover software indexes all of these different systems in parallel, provides you a true index, so you know exactly where materials are. It lets you know all the metadata info about the files involved. And then you can actually set cost analysis reports. So a USB drive might be a simple one, $250 for X amount of gigabytes. But then when you're on a cloud platform, that's a different, rate structure depending on the deal you got. Anytime you can, let yourself know or let other members of the team know, well, we're currently sitting at this point in terms of costs. And it helps you figure out when to move files on and off various platforms to archive, keep it all together. So this 2.0 version adds 2 great plugins, and it's 2 Telestream products. One's called Glim, and Glim is a great way to not generate new media, but allow you to actually understand what's there. Because if I'm a really lazy dude, and I just called this my favorite shot for today, probably nobody else in the team is going to know what the hell this file's about. So with that Glim plugin, you can hit play, and it's non-destructively doing a proxy playback for you, color information intact as well, so you can see what it is. and at least go in and clean this up and go, well, no, really, this is layer 14 shots or whatever, and rename it and that type of thing. And the second plugin is called Vantage. So that sends you off to Telestream. Vantage is sort of transcode software. Typical scenarios here is a client comes to you and says, well, your deliverables are going to be ProRes 444 and we need an H.264 version for this streaming service, and we'll do 1920 by 1080. And then they come back a week later and they're like, well, we actually sold the program and it's going to be on platforms X, Y, and Z. So now we need other codecs, and we need 720p renditions and Ultra HD renditions. So then you go in, find the original file again within the index, and simply say, take this guy, send it off to my Telestream Vantage platform here, generate those files, and it'll update the index, of course, saying it's here. So then the next person comes along and they go, oh, we don't have to do that again. We actually created it 2 weeks ago. You know,
so it gives them the flexibility of working in different codecs, but also going back and changing the workflow.
Yes, and that's why that software has been so popular. So that's some of our big news. But I recommend, folks just go to aj.com as usual and hit the what's new button, and you can learn a hell of a lot more.
Perfect. Bryce, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate it.
Thank you again.